Welcome to another edition of Teach the Geek interviews. My name is Neil Thompson. I'm the founder of Teach the Geek. I work with technical professionals so they can present more effectively, especially in front of non-technical audiences. And you can learn more about that at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Today, my guest is Sairan Aqrawi, and she's an engineer and business strategist who is passionate about leadership development. I'm really keen to find out about her interests in engineering and leadership development and the ways in which effective communication as a technical person has benefited her work life. Welcome to Teach the Geek interview, Sairan.
Thank you so much, Neil, for having me at your lovely podcast.
Wonderful. So, from the bit of research I did on you, I saw that you studied civil engineering. What was the motivation to study that?
There was no motivation. My father chose that route for me. I wanted to be a doctor, actually, but back in Middle East, back then, my days, you didn't have that much option to choose what you really love to do in your life. So my father thought that I'll be better off to being an engineer because, and he was right. He saw that potential better for my personality. To be an engineer rather to being a doctor. So I study civil engineering in Iraq. I graduate from there and I earned my master degree in system integration from George Washington University in US.
You know, Sarah, I actually studied engineering because my father said to do so as well, interestingly enough.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to never tell people that because a lot of times when you ask people that question, they'll tell you something that's more interesting, I think. They'll say something like they studied or they were interested in Legos when they were a kid, or maybe they used to, build things when they were children, or they were part of different clubs at school, and that
Yeah.
was what motivated them. But for me, it was simply my father said to do it, and I said, okay.
Here you go. I knew since I was a teenage, I was a problem solver. I mean, I was very good in math. That I cannot deny. But civil engineering was none of my option to be when I went to college. But problem solving skills, I have it since I was a teenage. So it's worked out fine. I think our parents, they especially fathers, they have that vision about what we're supposed to be. So it turned out to be good things.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so then you get this degree, you start working in a corporate environment. What's something that perhaps you didn't anticipate when you started working at an actual company?
It's a very different environment when you are even a different country because when I moved here in 1996, I expect everything will be rosy and line up for me because I was young. I was 26, and I thought just beginning because I'm an engineer, everybody will open doors and say, "Here it is. This is Mrs. Engineer. You're very smart. Come and work for us." The reality is when you go to corporate America, you work for big company, small company. I done it all. I work for the county. I work for a big company, semi-federal right now. The whole work, Neil, as you know, it's on you. Don't expect anything from anyone. They might mentor you for a while. They might teach you a software. They might take you to training. They might advise you to do certain skills. But the reality is the whole skill set and mastery at your job, it's on you. You have to really love and enjoy what you're doing. And I always tell my client, if you are not enjoying even your business, that's not the right business for you. I mean, look at you. You are an engineer and you have your company, Teach the Geek. It's something that's bring your engineering, strategic thinking to a business impact. So it's you merging them. It's like the IQ with the EQ, right? But if you are not enjoying it, you will never do it. It doesn't matter you have 5 PhD degree in engineering. If you are not enjoying what you're delivering, you better not to do it.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, and I think you're right. There's an instance in which people maybe come into organizations and they have these expectations, and then when they're not met, they think that it's the organization's fault, but perhaps it's that your expectations weren't realistic in the first place, and you'll eventually see that as time goes on. I also mentioned in the intro that you are a business strategist. So how did your engineering background, if at all, help you in becoming a business strategist?
Actually, it's helped a lot because what I did in 2023, I changed my niche. I used to have a company, full blown company, international transition expert. I was mainly coaching women who moved to United States legally with engineering degrees, seeking the American dream. I done that for 5 years. Then I found out I was like, let me challenge myself. I think I can do more than this. So I become a business strategist a year and a half ago. I shut down that project. And to be honest, Neil, the engineering background, I use engineering metaphor in all my coaching session. And when other coaches contacted me from ICF, they said, "This is very strange. We see that your LinkedIn is all engineering, but your Instagram is all about business strategies. Where does that come from?" I said, "Well, I make arranged marriage. I married the IQ and with the EQ. I know the IQ, I know the equation, I know how to solve the problem. Now I can solve the emotional intelligent issue that my client has." And I use those metaphor in a very good way because I feel, to be honest, everything in life, it's engineering, even medicine. Anything you do in life, even when you throw a Thanksgiving at your house, it has to involve engineering. You have to know the number, you have to calculate how many people, how much you're going to spend. Everything is strategy. Everything is it's like a blueprint, like a map you follow. So when I start changing my niche, right now when I coach my client, especially most of them are midlife women, I tell them I bring my engineering in a way on the three pillars. So you come with a clear foundation, that's clarity. So that's the foundation of the building. Then you take action in your business, that's the building, that's the door and the window. Then the consistency is the roof which is going to protect the whole building. So clarity, action, and consistency. So, foundation, building, and roof. So, I connect them this way to make it easy and resonate more with my client. So, it did help me a lot in my business.
Oh, that's a really cool way to look at it. I really am. I'm a big fan of analogies, even when it comes to giving technical presentations. Because a lot of times, especially if you're speaking in front of a non-technical audience, they may not understand all the technical jargon that you know already. So, in an event that you have to speak in front of these people, using words that are more knowledgeable or more common to them, and then also using analogies, I think can be a really great way to help them better understand anything technical that you have to talk about. So I really like your house analogy. I think that's really cool. So I mentioned Sairan that you're into leadership development. So as a leadership development person, a leadership specialist, what would you say would be the number one maybe tip or rule that you would give somebody if they want to become a more effective leader?
Very good question, Neil. I always believe leaders are not the one who only show up, are the leader who make influence, who make others influence, they influence others and they leave an impact. Mainly, you are not a good leader if you are not a role model. And I'll give you a question. If you have a team of 10 engineer, younger engineer, and you are a little bit advanced, ahead of them in the game, you cannot be their leader if you are not role model for those younger engineer. You cannot teach them communication if you lack of communication. You cannot teach them team player if you are not a team player yourself. So leader has to be a role model. I feel, Neil, leadership is like good parenting. I have two kids in college. I cannot be a good parent if I'm not doing the ethic and the right skills that I am trying to teach my kids. I cannot tell my daughter who just turned 21 to be a good listener if I'm not a good listener to her. How she's going to listen to me? She said, "Mommy, you are not even listening to me and you want to teach me listening." Same thing with building teams and being a leader. You cannot tell a younger version of yourself as an engineer to be something that you are lacking of. And it's all teachable. I mean, those leadership, some people say, "Oh, you're born a leader." Okay, I get that. Thank you. But you can make someone who's not a leader now a very effective leader by teaching them the ethic and the principles to be a best leader.
Zayran, when you were talking, it reminded me of a colleague I used to work with, and he works at a company in which he's required to come into the office. I think it's 4 days a week, and he works 5 days a week. And the actual CEO of the company is a remote employee. He doesn't come in every day. So it just reminds me of you saying that the leader needs to be a role model. If you're requiring the subordinates to come in most days and you don't come in most days, I mean, how effective a leader can you be?
Yes, and just look at the business you have. I looked at your LinkedIn page and the effect and the impact you're leaving. You teaching something that you are really master on. You cannot teach me math if you are not good in math. You gotta master your game in order to give me your skills, right? I'm following you because you are teaching the geek, right? But you are the master of the game. This is why you have a school and teaching. You have the engineering skill and you have the speaking skills in order make you able to teach others, right? You cannot just come and show up in the room and say, I know this because it's by experience. There is no such things. You earn it as you go. Doesn't happen overnight. Your skills being doing this podcast or doing your business, it did not happen in 48 hours. It's happened as you go. And the success to me, it's the relentless energy that keep progressing. That's success. You keep progressing. And that's what is make you successful in any task or any project you do in your life.
Do you think a leader should have a leadership style, or should they lead based on how others want to be led?
That's a very good question. It depends on the sector of that leadership. If you take it to the engineering leadership, is different than to you become the head of the department in a hospital as a physician. It's different if you are a head of a firm of group of lawyers, because the type of the job will dictate a certain style of leadership. Being an engineer, I can speak up about being engineer. Being a leader in engineering, you have to be really open-minded, good listener, having a great communication skills, being able when you thrive in any position, take your team with you, make them follow you in your advance. Don't just think about yourself saying, this is all about me. That's not a good leader in engineering, because you have, again, to be a role model for your team. So, to answer your question, it depends which era you are working at. Being a leader in politics, totally different. Being leader in an art museum, place, teaching people how to paint is totally different. So it depends on the style of the work you are doing.
That's interesting. So, when it comes to being a leader of, say, engineers, would you say that that person has to have an engineering background, or could they have a non-engineering background and still effectively lead those engineers?
So back my days, and that's telling you I'm very old. After 30 years of engineering, we always have that idea or normal, let's say, statement saying, "Oh, my boss has to have the same degree as I am, maybe better. His LinkedIn has to have a master degree and PhD degree." Life is changing with artificial intelligence, with all the technology change now. I feel degree is important, but without having the skill sets, you still cannot be a good leader. You can have the best LinkedIn title, you can have 5 PhD degree in engineering, but if you don't have the skills to be a leader, if you don't have the ethic, if you don't have those core value that a leader has, your LinkedIn title and credential will not do any favor for you, because time is changing now. Things are changing so fast with the technology. So you need to really master your game and gain a black belt in what you're doing in order to be a good leader.
Indeed. You know, Sayran, when I first started this podcast, it had to do with my own struggles giving presentations in front of others. I was really curious to hear from other technical people as to whether being effective as a communicator was something they were always good at. So, when it comes to yourself, have you always been good at speaking in front of others? And if so, and if not, what did you do to get better at it?
To keep doing and making mistake and master it, just like cooking. The first time you cook a rice is never the best, and you keep cooking that rice until your husband said it's really tastes delicious. The same thing with any skill you do. Of course, I didn't have this confidence when I came to United States. I was only 26. I was doubting every sentence I said, because, oh, I have an accent. Oh, maybe I should take classes. Maybe I have to join Toastmaster Club. Maybe I have to take uh, Brian Tracy courses. And I done it all, and I'm proud I done it, because I don't want to stay where I am. I wanted to scale my game. I want to be a better communicator. To me, I think for engineers, I see this in a lot of female engineers because we study so much technical aspect, and we did a lot of calculation. We study so many difficult books. I feel that especially female engineer, they muted their voice. They just put their head down and they feel their voice have no impact. So at this platform, I'm just addressing men and women, especially women, your audience. Those women need to speak up. If you are a technical, you are not only good in math, you have a voice. Use it for a good impact. And while we study engineering, that voice diluted. It's kind of like get muted and get lower and lower and eventually died. And I'm asking all female engineers, don't do that. Have people role model, look up to people, follow you, Neil, and see what you are doing with your engineering background, and be brave enough to have that voice and start a business that represent really who you are. You are not only an engineer who solve equation, you are way more than that. So use that voice, and it's come by practice. And confidence is competent. You will never be confident if you are not competent in what you are doing. And what do they say? Action breeds confidence. By doing it more, you earn the confidence. So the more you do it, you make a mistake, fail, do it again, work again, fail again, do it again until you master it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sairan, and whether you're a female engineer or not, if you're someone who wants to move up within an organization, I think that the people who are best at communicating their worth to the decision makers, those are the people who tend to do so, not necessarily the people who are the best at their jobs, because those people may not communicate the fact that they're the best at their jobs. How else are people supposed to know unless they're just looking at what you're doing at all times? But how often is that the case? Other people are doing their own jobs too.
Totally, totally, totally. I think who Buffett, Warren Buffett. I think it was Warren Buffett. I hope I am quoting him right when he said the most important things to advance and to master is communication. Communication is very important. Regardless, you are a manager, you are a leader, you are a parent, you are a colleague, you are whoever, whatever you are doing. If you don't have a communication skills, you are not going anywhere. Very important.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with you on that, Run. So when it comes to any presentations that you have to give, at least I know for myself, I still do get nervous before giving a presentation. So do you ever get nervous before giving a presentation? And if so, how do you deal with your nerves?
We all do. Even the most famous speaker or facilitator or people who've been doing it for so many years, when you ask them, they said we still get the butterfly, we still get the nervous before we get to that stage. I believe you cannot kill that nervous, or you cannot omit it totally. You cannot say, oh, I'm in the stage now, I don't get nervous at all. There is no such things. We are human being. We are afraid from feedback. We want validation. We seek approval. We're looking for that clap. We are human, right? I feel as a coach, we can tweak or change the nervousness to excitement. Just like an athlete, I think they asked the guy who won the gold medal, the swimmer, they said, are you scared before every match? He said, of course. But I said, I'm excited instead. You don't say I'm nervous, just say I'm excited. Because when you tweak the negative connotation to something it's more positive, when you come out of the event, you said, oof, I'm done. Great. That was not too bad. I was afraid from that TEDx red carpet. And when I step on that red carpet, it wasn't that scary. I was just making up stories and scaring myself for no reason. But when you do it, the action will take that fear away. But by you being stagnant and keep talking about, oh, I'm scared, oh my God, I'm not going to do it, you're not going anywhere. If you just disrupt that thinking, disrupt it totally and just go and do it, the fear is gone. So fear enemies are actions. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And you're right. I mean, if you tell yourself that you're not a very good speaker, then what are the odds that you actually will become one? If you tell yourself that that's something you're improving at, well, then you're more likely to actually do it. So yeah, I'm a big fan of switching the mindset from something negative to something positive. I think that's an excellent point. You know, when it comes to also the presentation that you give, Sairan, do you have a process for putting them together? And if so, what is it?
The most important process I start before I give any presentation, I have to have a solid clarity about who's my audience. I cannot give the same speech on and on in every platform. If I go and give a speech to younger student in engineering school, it's totally different if I give the same speech title to advanced engineer in a big corporate America, because my audience, they have to resonate with my message. You have to make your speech and presentation is so simple and approachable that your audience will relate to you and connect. You need to build that rapport. You want them to uh, involve in the talk. You want their feedback. You don't want just to go and give a keynote speaker and you look at your LinkedIn, oh, wow, he's smart or she's smart. That's not a good speaker. Look at Les Brown. When Les Brown speak, people don't want to blink. They don't want to lose one word he's saying, right? I know he's been doing it for a long time, but he's mastering it because he make his speech so relevant. He make it so engaging. You have no choice just to listen to him. I mean, I had opportunity to be with him in the room in a Zoom last year in a summit, and I didn't believe myself that I am speaking with legendary Les Brown. I don't want to speak. He was asking me a question. Actually, I want to tell him, I don't want to answer you. I just want to hear you. I just want to hear how you speak because he mastered speaking. So you have to know your audience and your message has to be very clear. Don't go on the stage and just deliver noise. There is already enough noise in social media. Deliver something, stand out. Put your personality in it, put your soul in it. And when you put your soul in it, will reach out, will reach all the audience.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, Sairan. So for the people who are watching or listening to our conversation and they're technical people, if you were to offer them one reason as to why they should become more effective communicators, what would it be?
The one reason to be a better communicator, it's if you want to really succeed and level up your game and progress, that's the biggest reason that you need to be a better communicator because without communication, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, simple as that for sure. This has been a great conversation, Sairan. Thank you so much for being a guest. How can people get in
Thank,
touch with you?
thank you, Neil. I'm available only in two platforms, LinkedIn. If you are an engineer and you're seeking any advice on the technical era, and if you want to, I ask my client never quit their day job. If they want to start a small business with me, I have a 28 journey finding your core genius or hidden gem, 28 days, and they can find me on Instagram, Sairan Aqrawi. And I will be more than happy if they mention your name and your platform to give them 30 minutes complimentary session.
Excellent. Well, everyone, that marks the end of another edition of Teach the Geek interviews. My name is Neil Thompson. I'm the founder of Teach the Geek. I work with technical professionals so they can present more effectively, especially in front of non-technical audiences. And you can learn more about that at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Until next time, take care and stay safe. Thanks, Sairan.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you.